So, by 146 BCE, Rome has completely conquered Greece and eventually absorbs the entire Greek world. It makes sense then that Rome was heavily influenced by Greek culture. Tons of Romans were studying the Greek language. Lots of Romans were going to study in Greece itself. Romans are noted for adopting the ideas and practices of others, but they did so with discrimination. They embraced Greek artistic forms more fully than any other people who came into contact with ancient Greeks. However, the Romans did not become a mere extension of the Greeks. Their Roman character and the way Roman culture worked definitely made them reject much that was distinctively Greek. It's funny, on one hand, through theater, the Romans were kind of presented with this image of the Greek world as an ideal that maybe the Romans should be aspiring to. But also, on the other hand, through Greek theater, there was kind of a negative image of the Greek world that was presented, which allowed the Romans to consider their way of life superior. For example, Romans were no way near as philosophical as the Greeks. Romans were really a practical people. They were not overly interested in theoretical questions. They were very content to just discover how things worked without asking why. Roman art tended to be grandiose, sentimental, or just diversionary. Just, entertainment for entertainment's sake. Rather than, like the Greeks, a serious exploration of the human condition. The Greeks, as we know from studying them over the last few weeks, were so into exploring philosophical issues. Why are humans the way they are? What is this struggle that we call humanity? The Romans were not interested in that. And they considered their way of life, in not being interested in that, far superior. Why was Rome like this? I'm glad you asked. Because they were focused on becoming a world power, and certain virtues did help them get there, like discipline, economy, in terms of being brevity being the soul of wit, endurance, military precision, loyalty to family and to state. Roman theater also was mostly about religious festivals. Theatrical offerings were thought to be pleasing to the gods, and Romans were very superstitious about pleasing the gods. They placed way more emphasis on offering theatrical entertainments than on the quality of the entertainments themselves. It was just like, let's churn out more and more and more to please the gods, but it wasn't really so much about whether the entertainments were actually of good quality or not. And their religious festivals where they presented these dramas were also very politically motivated. By the spring of 191 BCE, the Romans staged an unprecedented sequence of festivals. So many festivals. And these were acts of celebration, but they also were meant to rouse a population that was really war-weary. Rome had just been in war after war after war and doing all this conquering. And the population of Rome was fairly tired of it. I mean, they had lost a lot of lives in all of this conquering. And so these religious festivals with these entertainments and these theatrics was meant to kind of rouse the population and get them to agree to subsequent military pushes. One thing to note about Roman theater is that almost all the Roman plays were adaptations of Greek plays. Adaptations, translations, slightly different interpretations of Greek plays. Roman theater never really reached a level comparable to that of 5th century Greece. But their theater was more highly developed and extensive and varied than in any earlier culture. So they were doing good things. Roman tragedy is treated pretty condescendingly today by theater historians. It's not really considered to be any great shakes. But I think it's really important to note that in its time, it was very highly regarded by critics and by audiences. So